I don't think this is controversial, but it always needs to be said because it's the reality of life. Generally, nobody's a one man show. And so, because nobody's really a one man show, even if you have these TV shows or networks that you watch and you're like, oh, well, there's a clear star of the show, generally, the supporting cast is always more important than the star. That's just the way it goes. Even people, I think a lot of people get misconstrued, especially with YouTube when it started to take off, is they see only the person on camera and go, oh, well, a channel doesn't work without them. But then when you really start to see these bigger YouTube channels and you're like, oh, you know, like Mr. Beast, as big as he is, he's number one YouTuber. He has a huge team, a lot of production guys who are editing, recording stuff. Like, it's not just him. I'm a big fan of Philip DeFranco. And if you look at Philip DeFranco when he first started to where he is now, there's such a huge quality improvement. There's such a huge, it's just a massive difference from what you saw back then to what you see now. And that's because of the situation, and that is because of the supporting cast. I said earlier in the show, quarterback right now, there's a clear gap. So much so that we have to almost think about the position differently because Mahomes is in his own tier. Like, Mahomes could have a bad season next year, and I don't think this is possible, but he could have a bad year next year, and I think he is still in his own tier. And then, like I said, he's in tier 0, and then the next set of guys are Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes, and I'm a huge CJ fan, but we'll see where we rank him. But because of that, what I think we have to evaluate quarterbacks now is on their situation. So it's not just, is it, top 5 best quarterbacks, top 4 best quarterbacks, top 10 best quarterbacks. We need to see what are the best quarterback situations. I'm a big Colin Cowherd fan, and he does this about once a year where he goes, I'm going to pick divisions just based on quarterbacks. And he goes, I'm going to give you the best quarterback in every division, and I'll say that's who wins. And while that's still probably valid, it's not how I think we need to look at it with this current iteration of the NFL because of Mahomes creating this massive gap. So let's start here. These are the top 10 quarterback situations. I'm going to go 1 through 10. So remember, this is quarterback situations. Best quarterback situation in the NFL. Let's go 10 through 1. Let's be dramatic. At number 10, Justin Herbert. Now, most people probably have Herbert rated higher as an individual by himself, but the reality is he's gone through several offensive coordinators in his first couple years in the NFL. He has one really bad playoff experience, doesn't have a whole lot of winning in general. The receivers that he's played his entire career with, they're not there. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, they're all gone. But even so, and the individual quarterback's talent does matter, he's talented enough that him and Jim Harbaugh, this I believe is going to work. Now, I think this year is going to be a slightly rough year. We talked about coaches in their first year reacclimating to the current NFL, getting back into the pros. That can be its own adjustment. But Herbert, Harbaugh, the O-line with Rashawn Slater being healthy, this should work. This is a top 10 quarterback situation in the NFL. Excuse me. Justin Herbert at number 10. At number 9, Caleb Williams. Funny enough, he has one of Justin Herbert's old weapons in Keenan Allen. If you look at what the Bears did, and I don't like hyperbole statements, but this is one that works, which is Caleb Williams probably has the best situation for a number 1 overall pick in NFL history. It is insane because the fact the Bears were not actually terrible to get the number 1 overall pick. They traded with Carolina, and that's how they got it. He has receivers. He has a defense. I think the only thing that I don't love for him, or I would actually have the situation even rated higher, is that I wish he had an offensive head coach. If Caleb Williams had an offensive head coach, this might be a top 5, top 6 quarterback situation. We know he has the potential to be a generational quarterback talent. We know what Keenan Allen's going to be a number 3. Keenan Allen has spent his entire career being a 1 And while maybe he's not as good as he was 4 or 5 years ago, he now gets to be a 3. The Bears have multiple 1,000-yard receivers, a really good tight end. The O-line should be better. The defense is there. 7-win team that adds the number 1 overall draft pick, the best quarterback in several years, if not the best quarterback since Andrew Luck to a lot of people. So Caleb Williams, even though he's a rookie, number 9 quarterback situation. Number 8, Tua. Most people don't have Tua as a top 10 quarterback, and that's fine. I get that. But if you look at his coach, who's one of the best play callers in the NFL, Mike McDaniel, he still has Tyreek Hill, maybe the most explosive and dangerous player in football, and Jalen Waddle, and Mostert at running back. Like I've said, there's 2 teams in the NFL that I truly, truly believe could be plug and play at quarterback. And that's not to diminish their quarterback, but that's to show how good the front office and the coaching staff has done at constructing a roster. And Miami and San Francisco are those 2 teams. So even if you don't think Tua, you might not think Tua's better. Most people don't think Tua's better than Herbert. And a lot of people would take Caleb Williams, even as a rookie, never having played a snap, they would take him over Tua. But the reality is I get Tua, these receivers, this play calling. There's a reason why they scored 70 points, and it's not just because my Broncos sucked. Like, this is a great team, a great offense, a great situation. Maybe not a top 10 quarterback, but a top 10 quarterback situation. Tua at number 8. These next 3 are all based on talent. These are just the most talented, and we've been talking about them kind of periodically throughout the show. Lamar at number 7. Lamar is so talented, and he's with the perfect coach. Lamar does not look like Lamar if he is drafted to almost 20 to 30 other NFL teams. But him, John Harbaugh, what they've done with this roster, acclimating the offense, bringing in, moving on from Greg Roman. We've seen him win 2 MVPs. He is, like I said, Mahomes is in a tier by himself, but that next tier, him, Burrow, Allen, they're all great. And it's just a matter of the pieces they have around him, which Lamar's pieces he's adjusted because they've been moved because some guys who were there at the beginning of his career are no longer there now. But he is just an all-world talent, absolutely top 10 quarterback, top 10 QB situation, Lamar Jackson. Number 6. Yeah, we're number 6. Josh Allen. Now, Allen would have been higher than the next guy, but the only difference here is Allen just lost his number 1. Stephon Diggs no longer on the team, but the reality is Josh Allen is still probably going to win his division again. The reality is Josh Allen is still a touchdown machine. Yes, he throws interceptions. Yes, he fumbles, but there's an argument to be made. He is just as good, if not better, of a touchdown, of a throwing, running quarterback, even than Lamar Jackson. Like, Lamar has speed that Josh can't keep up with, but Allen's accuracy, his ability to run over guys, jump over guys, he is still in the prime of his career athletically. Josh Allen, and if, like I said, if he had kept his receivers, this would be higher on my list. Which means at number 5, Joe Burrow. Now, Joe, we all know his only thing is health. That's really only setting him back. I like Zach Taylor, who's gotten a lot of respect from what I thought he was going to be to what he has turned out to be. I think he deserves a lot of credit, a lot of praise. He's been a extremely well-qualified NFL head coach. He's gotten to a Super Bowl. Any year Burrow's healthy, they've been at least AFC Championship. T. Higgins is probably going to play, and if he's disgruntled, they still have Jamar Chase. This is like I said, him and Allen I would have gone back and forth with, but the fact he got to keep his receivers, even if they're not totally happy with their contract situation, to me, that is the difference, and that's why Burrow comes in at number 5. At number 4, this is the one we're probably all a little too high on, but it's okay. I am drinking the Kool-Aid, and that is C.J. Stroud with the Houston Texans. DeMeco Ryans, C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, how we always say, or we've been saying since this era of rookie quarterbacks, when guys play right away, you pretty much know right off the bat. And you know if your guy is it, and you pretty much know if your guy is not. Take away the team's success. If you just watch them throw the football and the way they play, It took the Houston Texans about 4 to 5 games to know CJ Stroud is it, and it took the Carolina Panthers about 4 or 5 games to go, I don't know if Bryce Young is. So Stroud, Ryan, I think this is a really wonderful combination. I think with some guys, they have such a commanding presence over the offense at the quarterback position that they do need a defensive head coach to kind of handle the other half of the team. And that's the vibe CJ Stroud gives to me. Like I said, Caleb being a rookie, I would have preferred he had an offensive head coach, but CJ had such a strong presence, his leadership, the command of the offense, everything was just great right off the rip. A couple games into his career, that I actually really like the combination of him and D'Amico Ryans, offensive quarterback, defensive head coach. I could be wrong on that one. That's probably the biggest swing, but hey, man, look. At number 3, it's Mahomes. Now, obviously, this is Mahomes, this is Reed, and it's like, why isn't this number 1? Well, because the reality is, if you look at a lot of the stuff the Chiefs do, Mahomes covers up a lot of it. Yes, Andy Reid we know is a brilliant play caller, but the brilliant play caller had a less explosive offense than he's ever had because he no longer has Tyreek Hill. He no longer has an in his prime Travis Kelce. He doesn't have the consistent running game that Mahomes had at the beginning of his career. Like, you can see certain things are starting to peel off from the Chiefs. 15 is just so great that he covers up a lot of it. You know, look at the Chiefs offseason. I've been saying this for weeks. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs offseason, they've had players arrested. They've had issues. They've had to get rid of L'Jarius Sneed. There's all these things around him that are, to any other quarterback, would be falling apart. But because you have Mahomes and Reed specifically, this is the Super Bowl favorite. This is the current NFL dynasty. So, yes, Mahomes, if it was just quarterback, he's number 1, undisputed, no conversation. But if we're just doing top 10 quarterback situations, Mahomes comes in at number 3. Number 2, I think this one's underrated, Matthew Stafford. So Stafford, I think to a lot of people is in that top 6-7 range as far as quarterbacks. I don't think we put him quite with, we obviously don't put him with Mahomes, don't put him with Burrow, Lamar, Allen, but I think a lot of people would have him right there. Him, CJ, some of the young guys coming up. But if you look at Stafford, McVay, now they have Nakua and Cooper Kupp. They always figure out a running game. Sean McVay figures out a way to make offensive lines work. The Rams are a sleeper team to get to the Super Bowl, and that's insane to think about considering, look at Matthew Stafford's first part of his career, and that's why I say you have to take situations in totality. No, nobody on this roster is as good as Megatron, but it doesn't matter because they have 2 receivers, tight ends that work, the O-line's good, their head coach is as good as anybody calling plays. And so Matthew Stafford, the number 2 quarterback situation in the NFL, which leaves us with number 1. And I know it's the best situation because most people don't even think the quarterback's all that good or he's just carried. And of course, I'm talking about Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, even if whether Ayuk's there or not, they got 2 rookie receivers. I know they just put the first rounder on a temporary injury list. Jawan Jennings, who had flashes last year, and a guy, it's either him or McVay, Reed. They're the top 3 offensive play callers in the NFL. Brock Purdy, like the 49ers have everything. Not just those weapons, but and then you have Trent Williams at left tackle. The totality of the team, that defense still has 3 or 4 all-pro guys. Like, come on now. Because most of you don't think and I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I think he's good to really good. Most people think he's just outright bad. He's totally carried by all these other supporting players, which is proof positive. Brock Purdy, the number 1 quarterback situation in the NFL.